I want to get into the hurricane outlook. June 1st is the hurricane season. We're just weeks away. I want to touch upon when we could see the first tropical wave out there and kind of go long term through the middle of May when we'll get that better chance of rain, plus an update on some of the earthquakes. I want to show you the water temperatures though that have been significantly warming. They are warmer than average. I'll show you that in a moment. But you see this kind of orangey shading in here, parts of the Gulf over toward the bay, the Atlantic streaming right in here. This is the Gulf Stream. It's a warm water current that goes from south to north. That is warming up. And look at the water temperatures near Jamaica, 29 degrees Celsius, 84 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit right now. So everything is warming, which is normal for this time of year to be bumping up with some of those temperatures. But what is a little different is that the water temperatures, at least closer to home, are above average. They're not quite as warm as last year at this time. I checked in on that. But where you see this orange and the red through the Caribbean, really the western Atlantic swinging back toward the west, that's where we have some of the warmest water, and that's where it is running above average. One thing of note, off the coast of Africa, water temperatures are below average. That may limit some of the numbers of storms by the time we get deeper into the hurricane season. Once we hit July, August, September, that's when we watch out for the bigger tropical waves off the coast of Africa that may try to develop. But with some cooler than average water out there, that may help us. Again, the warm water fuels developing tropical storms and hurricanes. So I keep an eye on that very carefully. But it's not just the water, it's what's going on above our heads. Here's the updated May outlook for the potential of rain. Obviously, you need some rain for tropical storms and stuff like that to develop. We want the rain. We do not want hurricanes, though, no doubt about that. We get a look, though, at where that moisture will be throughout much of the Caribbean. In May, we're looking at above average rain, even where you see the greens, where you see the blues, significantly above average. Parts of South America, back through Central America, and slightly above average parts of Florida, for example, which will be good news because it has been so dry in spots. Unfortunately, the Bahamas that we've been too dry, we're still going to be drier than average. Now, this additional rain really looks to work in later in the month. I'll show you that in just a moment. That coincides with us getting closer to the hurricane season. About every other year, there is a named system out there before the start of hurricane season. So I'm clearly watching everything from this point forward to see if there's any signs of development. Usually if something develops this time of year, though, it is not typically strong. Sometimes it's very welcome just to get some of the additional rain, say if it was a weak tropical depression or tropical storm. Now, I do want to touch on La Nina and El Nino. I know this chart's a little bit crazy, but this here is May, June, July, June, July, August. This is getting into September and October. Now, where you see the blues, we're going to gradually be working into a little bit more of a La Nina cycle down the road. But point being, we're not going to see a strong La Nina or a strong El Nino setting up through the hurricane season. Now, what the heck does that mean? That means we're more in a neutral phase. Well, if we have a La Nina pattern, a global La Nina pattern, that typically means more named storms. We'll have a hint of a La Nina by the end of the hurricane season, but nothing significant. In an El Nino pattern, there's typically fewer hurricanes and tropical storms. So El Nino is usually better for us, but we're kind of in between right now. So what does that mean? Well, it looks like we'll have an above average season, but maybe we round out somewhere in between 11 to 17 named storms. We'll wait and see on that, but I'm not seeing anything too significant with a La Nina or an El Nino setting up. Now, it doesn't matter really the name of storms. It matters where the heck they go, right? We could have one system out there, and if it runs into us, that's a busy hurricane season. Or there could be a million systems out there, and if they do not hit us, then we're in good shape. And that's what I watch. I watch out for, a lot of folks are saying, hey, Brian, is this going to be a busy hurricane season? Well, it's a wait and see. I need to watch the pattern as we get closer to some development forming. And that's what I'm doing now. Let's go long term. This here is today. A couple pockets of rain that I'm watching. Fronts moving through the U.S. Here's that spin still out in the Atlantic with that very low chance of developing into a subtropical system. Most likely that will not happen. Let's go out in time here as we get deeper into May. This here is about a week from now. So as we get into May 7th, and you see here some of the additional rain. The fronts move off the U.S. No signs of organization organization, watching out for those severe weather outbreaks throughout parts of the United States, and then keeping an eye on the Eastern Pacific. The hurricane season here starts earlier. It starts May 15th because warmer water temperatures are already in place in this region. So the Eastern Pacific hurricane season, that starts earlier, so watching that carefully. Let's go way out in time here. This is May 11th. Now, May 11th, nothing crazy at this point. Watching a few areas of rain, couple fronts that will be moving by. But after May 11th, remember, above average rain for the Caribbean for us as we work our way into May. But it looks like it's going to happen deeper into May. So the middle of the month and end of the month, that's when we'll see a better chance of some rain. Watching a couple spins out there, a couple fronts out there, but you see here by the middle of the month across much of the Caribbean, even up toward parts of the Bahamas and Florida, increased rain. I'll be watching that. And then as we get later into the month, we start to get these tropical waves moving by. The first tropical wave of the season last year was right around, I think it was May 22nd. That's when we should start to see a tropical wave is it's like a disturbance up above our head. We get these impulses that work across. So at this same time, we have increased moisture, increasing water temperatures, and then we'll start to get the tropical waves. And as they move across, I'll watch out for any signs of development as we go forward. Nothing right now, but by the middle of the month, we should see some extra rain, and then we'll start to get those tropical waves out there. Tropical waves per season, 55 to 65 of them come off the coast of Africa because of the global trade wind patterns, just the circulation around Earth. Now, obviously, not all of them develop, but occasionally we get some development out of them, and a few of them roll into becoming tropical storms and hurricane seasons. Hurricane season goes all the way through the end of November, but we start to get some of the tropical waves in May before the start of the hurricane season. I do want to touch on this real quickly. Again, there's been a lot of activity with earthquakes. Just over the last couple of days, though, the last 2 days, there's only been one earthquake over 5 in magnitude in our region, and that's been off the coast of Guatemala and Mexico. So I haven't seen anything significant, for the most part, over the last about 18 hours. Know that I'm watching that. Now, let me show you some of the rain building where we're going to have some heavier rain in spots. Look at this spin right here. That's the spin I was talking about earlier this week. There's the moisture it's feeding in, and then we have these areas rolling through the U.S. with that chance of more severe weather. I'll get to that in just a second, but you can see this cloud cover here, in it scattered showers, and with our heating from the day, we'll get some thunderstorms rolling by. Of course, parts of the southeastern Caribbean, Grenada, for example, we have been hot, we have been dry, and now we have some of that dust that's been in place. We've had some of that dust around Trinidad that we were talking about earlier as well. So as we go through the day today, and I'll widen out the picture in just a second, scattered areas of thunderstorms. Jamaica, we've had some around, watching out for some isolated flooding. Scattered areas of flooding, Costa Rica, Panama, Colombia, and then keeping an eye on some of that dust in the southeastern Caribbean. Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, Haiti, scattered thunderstorms with that daytime heating that can lead to flooding. And then as we work our way into our Friday, more scattered storms, similar spots as we get into our Friday. Watching out for some isolated pockets of flooding. You get the downpours, we'll see that chance of some flooding, and then we do that again as we work our way into Saturday, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, parts of Haiti, some of that rain over toward Venezuela, and then moving back toward parts of Central America. But Sunday, we may start to sneak in a higher chance of rain. The dust kind of lessens as it moves by. So you see over toward Trinidad, St. Vincent the Grenadines, Grenada, I'll watch Barbados, St. Lucia. We may get a better chance of rain for the second half of the weekend. I'm going to cover that more in depth in tomorrow's video for you. Got you covered. Now, here's the bigger picture. One system leaving, even with a couple snow showers today, parts of Newfoundland. Here's that new system across the U.S. This will have a potential of some severe weather with it. Some gusty straight line winds will be a potential, and the possibility of flooding. And you see, again, this working its way out of New England over toward the Atlantic region of Canada by tomorrow. Then keeping an eye on this. Watch what happens here as we get into the weekend. The front moves into the eastern U.S., and then we get some much needed rain right here. You see this over toward Florida, scattered storms later in the day on Sunday. It's not for everyone, unfortunately, and then scattered storms in the northern Bahamas. So keeping an eye on this pocket that has been so very dry as we get into Sunday, that rain chance will be bumping up. Seas are not too crazy. Here's meters, here's feet on the right hand side of your screen. This is today, just kind of zooming through it into the weekend. You see through the Gulf and the Caribbean and the Atlantic Atlantic, nothing too choppy. Just keep an eye on, of course, the open waters of the Atlantic. We're looking 2 to 3 meters in spots, 7, 8, 9 feet in some spots. And then as we get into Sunday, that front I just mentioned will increase some of the wave heights north of the Bahamas and off the southeast coast of the United States. That's on Sunday. Now, as far as the rain goes, a little bit trickier because some spots are dry and we are hot. Others, we get some thunderstorms, but they kind of dot the map. They're kind of scattered. So the next few days, parts of Cuba, Jamaica, watching out for some areas of flooding. You see just kind of hitting the map with some of these purples. We could get a quick 50 millimeters of rain or 2 inches of rain. Not as much for us in the Cayman Islands, but Haiti interior sections back through the DR into Puerto Rico. That's where we could get some spots of 100 millimeters of rain or 4 inches of rain. So giving you the heads up that, yeah, just down the road it may be dry, but if it is pouring on top of you, watch out for some of the flooding, and we need to keep an eye on those rivers as we go forward. And this includes the U.S. and British Virgin Islands for that increased chance of rain. And clipping by St. Kitts and Nevis, Saba, St. Martin, Antigua, Barbuda, we may get a couple scattered showers. This is where it's a little drier though. Because of some of the dust. But I mentioned on Sunday, we'll see that rain chance going up. It has gone up again, Guyana, and especially into Suriname with some higher totals, 4 or 5 inches of rain, 100 to about 125 millimeters of rain in some spots. And then watching out for still some of the areas of flooding, northern Venezuela, northern Colombia, Costa Rica, and Panama. And still some spots of rain, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, isolated, Nicaragua, back through Belize, and then back through Mexico City. But some heavier rain with that front building, while parts of eastern Texas into Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, and then working its way through Alabama, Georgia. We'll see how much of this tries to pull into parts of Florida and the Bahamas as we get into the second half of the weekend. So 50% chance of rain, but again, heads up for us in Jamaica. If we get the rain in spots, we need to watch out for some flooding. Cayman Islands, rain chance though for us stays on the low side. Now, we swing back through Trinidad. We're looking at some of the dust today, but by the weekend, some isolated showers. Then Sunday, we'll have a better chance. So the next couple of days in Barbados, our rain chance is not very high. It's not very high as well as we work our way through St. Lucia. Rain chance staying on the limited side in Grenada the next couple of days. And on the limited side as well, St. Vincent the Grenadines, watching that dust that is in place. Thinking of you, if you have any breathing issues, they'll be a little bit worse over the next few days. Martinique, rain chance today, 20%. 20% chance today in Dominica. By Saturday, we're up to about a 40% chance. And you see us making the climb in Guadeloupe. By the time we get into the weekend, Antigua and Barbuda, scattered showers around. I was showing you that the northeastern Caribbean, we have a better chance of some of the rain. Look at St. Kitts and Nevis and Montserrat, about a 60% chance of scattered areas of rain around today. Anguilla and St. Bart's right into the weekend, the same thing. There's that 50% chance, St. Martin, Saba, and Statia over the next few days, and up to a 60% chance of rain tomorrow and Saturday in Puerto Rico. Flooding will be a concern, which of course could lead to some power outages. U.S. and British Virgin Islands at 50% chance of rain. It is holding, so heads up, watching out for some of those downpours. Bahamas, as of now, not a whole lot of rain. Turks and Caicos, rain chance stays at about 20 to about 30%. The Dominican Republic has highlighted, watching out for the possibility of flooding the next 2 days, and the next couple of days in Haiti, about a 50% chance of rain, especially as you work your way closer to the Dominican Republic. Belize, we're still looking at that very isolated chance. Aruba through the end of the week into the weekend. Curacao and Bonaire, that rain chance holding at 30%. There's that 60% chance the next 2 days in Guyana, a 70 to 80% chance the next couple of days in Suriname. Just mentioned that. Watching out for some of that flooding. Isolated thunderstorms around, better chance by the weekend in Cuba. Costa Rica and Panama still holding on to that 70% chance, about a 40% chance in Nicaragua, 20% chance the next couple of days in Honduras, and a 50% chance the next 2 days Guatemala and El Salvador. So that rain chance still around, 30% chance around Mexico City the next couple days, 20 to 30% chance across the Yucatan Peninsula, and watching parts of Colombia and Venezuela, still that active pattern, and watching out for that possibility of flooding. Meanwhile, in Bermuda, just getting clipped by a couple of the fronts. So very busy pattern. Saharan dust moving in for some of us. Bigger areas of rain coming. We may see some on Sunday, but as I mentioned, as we get into the middle of the month, I'll be watching that and how it ties in with the possibility of some tropical development. I'm watching that flood threat, monitoring those earthquakes as well. 31 days away from the start of hurricane season. Thank you for being with me, taking the time to subscribe. Have a wonderful day ahead.